Hello, and welcome to the Tuning In podcast. I'm Dana Evans, your inner voice and emotional support coach. In this podcast, we explore the deep wisdom that lives in our bodies, emotions, and inner voice. Together, we'll shed the layers that no longer serve us, creating space to tap into the flow of life and experience true ease. So, are you ready to join me? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. Today, I wanted to reflect on a really powerful weekend workshop and some major shifts that I've been sensing within myself that are really coming to fruition, and specifically have really clicked into place because of the weekend workshop. A lot of times, when we are in sync with our bodies, when we're listening to the rhythm and flow of our bodies, we will be guided to partake and do things that are going to open us up or shift something on a deeper level. So on the surface, it might seem like something simple, like I chose to participate in a 3-day, 10-hour Bowspring. It's the movement methodology that I'm trained in, that I've been doing for years on and off, more recently off, but it is, in my mind, the most effective, impactful, transformative, supportive way that we can move our bodies. It's functional movement, it's nervous system recalibration, it's lymphatic drainage, it's full body tone, it's length and strength, it's rooted and rising, it is magnetic and magnificent and potent. It is pure magic. I'm so grateful to be trained in it and to have been a part of it since its inception. And more recently, I haven't been really doing any of this practice. So, as you know, my body has been really offline until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I haven't had like the energetic body. Now I do. And of course, timing-wise, as my energy is coming back in my body, this workshop showed up for me to participate in. So, we talk about trusting the body. We talk about trusting the rhythms. We talk about trusting the lows and the slow and low times. But we don't talk about, well, how long are you willing to trust? Just how long will you trust? Will you hold the belief that the energy will return? And here's the deal, guys. I haven't had a ton of physical energy probably since 2020. I've really been reflecting on this recently. And 2020 is when a lot of that slowed down, as I know it did for a lot of us. And then it continued into some really challenging times that I had in 2021 through 2022. And then last year was a year of deep recalibration for me, deep healing, reclaiming my voice, retrusting myself and my knowing, especially as a coach, and really understanding my boundaries, my tendencies, all of that. It was like a really energetic year of inner reflection and deconditioning from so much fucking shit. I was semi-aware of that during the year, but really this past month, it's really became clear what all was actually happening. So all of that combined, I just didn't have a lot of excess energy to do physical things. Yes, I do my daily walks. Yes, I would dabble in and out of movement, but I certainly wasn't doing my Bowspring practice, which requires a lot of mind and body presence. And what I found, especially in the last 6 months, is I was starting to notice okay, I'm wanting to move my body, and I started seeking. And I think this is a really beautiful part of the process, the seeking. But I mean, I've done so many things since then. I started playing with weightlifting, and I bought an online weight training program, and I got through max 4 weeks of that. It was a 12-week program, and I started that a couple times, but I kept having to start over. We set up our exercise room in our house, in our new house, which was really exciting. I was like, oh, I'm going to want to be in there all the time. Spoiler alert, I don't. Spoiler alert, I'm doing yoga in my bedroom. John likes the workout room though. And then I started doing these, like I told you about this program I was doing that was deep release of trauma and stress that's stored in the hips. And that was a 30-day program. I also bought that woman's shoulder and neck reset, which I haven't started. I started getting into lymphatic drainage. I've really been dabbling with, and of course, nervous system, all of these body practices, a lot of somatic, slower practices. And slowly, they've all been leading me back to the same answer. And that's that my Bowspring practice does it all. It is nervous system recalibration, it is lymphatic drainage, it is strengthening. I'm always the most strong and toned when I'm doing that practice. It asks us to have the utmost presence and patience with our bodies. It's deep body attunement and awareness. It's not fast and hard. It's slow and deep. It's potent. And it's this full-on transformation. And that's what I'm coming back to. And I'm like, this is the answer. I don't have to do 7 different practices. I can just do this one. It's much more efficient, right? So what I'm saying here is that for 4 years, I haven't wanted to move my body in that way. I've, in fact, resisted it. I mean, I taught this methodology. I deeply trained in it. It's where I've learned my therapeutic body work, fascia release. It's really the roots, in fact, of what I teach and do today of emotional clearing and support. Even of inner voice work. I mean, that was my deep training was with Jess Lively, but back before I even knew what a nervous system meant, or what I knew what lymphatic drainage was, or I knew what it meant to be intuitive and listen to my body. Before all of that, I was learning this practice and learning those things without consciously understanding what I was learning, what foundation it was building for me and for my work. And so here today, I completed this intense weekend workshop, and it was hard. Ask John, ask my husband how the weekend workshop went. So Friday, it was 4 hours. It was 2 2-hour trainings. Saturday was 2 2-hour trainings, and Sunday was 1 2-hour training, which, teaser, I cried through most of it. I'll tell you why in a minute. So last week we did it. The week before I had gotten the notice, and I kind of went through like a little hesitation because I'm like, I'm still doing this financial fast. But I had a deeper knowing beyond the mind and ego saying you have to uphold your fast. I am upholding my fast. But it was like my inner voice was saying, no, this is for you. You must do this. So I signed up, listened to that knowing, so excited, was so very excited. Friday, y'all, this was like slap in the face how much I am not focusing. I think I've been talking about this a lot. Like, this is kind of a wake-up call for me because I've been talking and not changing anything about my focus. Tell me, when was the last time, maybe for you it's regular, for me it was not, when was the last time you spent 2 hours in deep presence and focus? All I did was I watched the online instruction, participated, and was 100% present with my body. No music, no phone, no checking, just presence, awareness, and listening. That shit's tiring. It's a muscle that hasn't been really trained. It's been trained out of me. So that was the first session. I really just had to like zone out for the 2 hours in between sessions, like on Friday. Then Friday night, we did another one from 6 to 8. Holy crap. And you know what was crazy? I didn't sleep well Friday. Meanwhile, I'm not having alcohol. I'm drinking tons of water. I'm doing intense physical activity, intense presence. And they ended the practice with like a deeply grounding, calming energy to like bring us down towards sleep. And I didn't sleep. And then Saturday comes and I was like, well, I was cranky. I went out and ran errands in the morning. I got all the groceries and I was like, fuck this. Excuse my language. That's how I felt. I was just like annoyed. I was happy to be out and I came home and I was annoyed to be home. I was annoyed with John. I was annoyed. I was tired. My body hurt. Okay, going to the practice on Saturday, feeling great. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm amazing. Look at this. Look at me. Look at me. This feels so good. This feels so good. Why haven't I been doing this? And then in the break, cranky, tired, zoning out, watched a movie, ate, dragged myself together to do the second session on Saturday. I'm like, okay, this is great. This is great. At the end of that session, I felt better. I apologized to John for being so cranky earlier. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to ensure I'm going to sleep well. Like, I must sleep well. I'm exhausted. I'm really hydrated. I've eaten really well today. Like, I'm taking care of my body. I already handled all of the weekend house tasks. Like, the groceries were done. The food was ready. On Sunday, I was going to do all my meal prep. I'd run all my errands. I was ready. The bathrooms were clean because I deep cleaned the bathrooms the week before. Like, the house was tidy. I'm like, this is great. I have no reason to not sleep. And to make sure I sleep, I know I'm going to take a bath. So I ate dinner that I had prepared during the 2-hour break between sessions. I kind of was feeling like a superwoman. I felt better. I apologized to John. I make a bath. Oh my gosh, light some candles. Drop in magnesium, sea salt, scent, essential oils, face wash. Have my tart cherry coconut water, salt, hydration, sleep cocktail. There's no alcohol. Mocktail. I'm so ready. I crawl into bed. Had such a weak sleep. It was so light. I'm like, gosh, what the heck is going on? Whatever. Sunday, wake up, pick a fight with John. Basically, I'm exhausted and I'm upset I didn't sleep. I tried to wake up and make pancakes and the freaking pancake batter was messed up and I don't have a nonstick pan because I don't want a nonstick pan because I don't want the Teflon. So I'm trying to use my cast iron and it glues to my cast iron. By the time John gets up, I'm pissed and I try to give him a pancake and he wasn't hungry and I'm like, I see how it is. You don't want my pancakes. Like, is this relatable? I hope I'm relatable. And I start crying. And I'm like, I don't feel like you care about the food I'm making. And I'm doing all this stuff. And you just wish my workshop was over because I'm cranky. And it's not because of the anyway, whole thing, right? I think you've been there. I hope you've all been there. Well, not for you, but for my own sanity. And John, the wise soul that he is, he says, this is not about me. You're tired and I'm not going to participate in this fight. Which honestly is really the best situation. So then I go into my practice and I am legit crying for like the first 45 minutes and I'm like barely moving. And then the second half, I actually get moving. I actually start feeling better and I'm like, oh, the world is not ending. John is not my enemy. Everything's okay. So after that practice, apologize to John again. It's very humbling to have to apologize over and over for being tired and acting out. And I go right into meal prep and I prep all this food, make the biggest mess I've ever made, crash on the couch. All of a sudden, the weekend, the sleep, the movement hits me so hard and I'm like, dead. Okay. Peel myself off the couch after watching a 2-hour movie. Go into the kitchen. I actually clean every dish. John's usually the kitchen cleaner, but I'm like, he was on his run. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to handle this. I think this is a record. I don't think I've ever had so many dishes dirty at once. Clean the whole kitchen. We eat a lovely dinner. I watch another movie and actually sleep well Sunday night. Monday, I wake up and I'm like, life is good. I have clarity. Oh my gosh, this movement is so powerful. There's so much nervous system calibration that was happening, which I think is really powerful of like the posture of the bowspring is very open. So it's like a long belly, wide hips. Think of an hourglass shape, like expanded, broad ribs, like in all directions. Your throat is open. You're soft and strong. And you do these movements in this open position, and it's very clearing. And then you pause, and you pause in the open position. So, a lot of times if we do something intense and then it's like, whew, we have to like close off to settle and recalibrate. Well, this practice teaches you to regulate your nervous system from an open position, which is really advanced, honestly, and I'm out of training from that. And it's also destabilizing for the nervous system when you start doing that. And it's upsetting. Nervous system's like, I just want to curl up in a ball. And it's like, no, let's keep rising. Let's keep shining. Let's keep expanding even in the pause, even when we're integrating. So I was reflecting on all of that on Monday morning, and I realized part of the reason I was so cranky is it was like a crash cleanse. It was like I had done a major detox on my body, and I had. Anyone who does the practice does, because it's lymphatic drainage, it's twisting, it's opening, it's nervous system regulating, it's like pumping, right? We're pumping our body. And in fact, Desi Springer, one of the facilitators, the creator of the Bowspring, she was talking about, we are our own pumps. And it's so interesting to hear about that, because when you learn about lymphatic support, like our lymphatic system, they don't have their own pumps like our lungs or our heart. And so lymphatic work is really just like gently pulsing on the lymph nodes so that they can get the blood and lymph circulating and clearing out and releasing. So by doing a practice that intensely, you are your own pump. And when you're pumping, you're releasing all this stuff that's been stuck and stagnant in your body. And guess what? It needs to go somewhere. And guess what? It feels shitty. Just like when you cut out caffeine, or when you cut out sugar, or when you do a 21-day detox. You know, when I did my parasite cleanse, I was really cranky the first couple of days. It's destabilizing, but ultimately it is moving you toward feeling better. If you can see it through, if you don't close off before you've gone through the process. So that was really powerful. And what it clicked into place, stay with me here. There's a big full circle moment. I started looking at the calendar. Okay. I'm really bad with dates. But I was like, I love my calendar. I use iCal and I put everything in there, and I love it as a place to reference back. So what happened was in 2015, October, I do believe, is when I quit my full-time job at a web design and development company. And I left to work at what I thought was going to be a really great job. It was the worst job I've ever had in my life. But on paper, it sounded like it was going to be a great job. So I left the job that was like killing my soul, but I still love the people. To this day, I'm still very good friends with the owner of that company. We still have dinner dates, and that built a long-term friendship, and I'm so grateful. But 2015 is when I left that, started this new job, worked there for 6 months into 2016. February of 2016, I finally left, even though my body knew this new company after the first month. It knew deep down, it was like, this is not good. This is not right. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. It was so bad. My manager, honestly was like abusive to me verbally. It was a work from home job. Before that was like a big thing. And God, I'd never been so fearful, and everything I did was wrong. And she accused me of like wrongdoing. It was like a very stressful time. Okay. Guess what? I pushed through. My willpower held me through for 6 months. Every Sunday I would just cry. So that's just like giving you a little context. I left a job that was like, it was a good job, but it was like very much time for me to be complete there. And I went into this job that was like so torturous. So in February of 2016, I was like, I can't keep this up. And John's like, no, like you gotta leave. And so I took a leap of faith and I left without getting another job. And what I immediately dove into, I was already very well trained in the Bowspring. And so I started teaching more classes, and I started doing private yoga, specifically therapeutic body work. So that was February of 2016. And that was a really big time for me because I was also working with the founders of the Bowspring, Desi Springer, John Friend, I was helping them get Bowspring off the ground, like building the website, doing their email marketing, social media. Like I really got into that world. I was still doing some freelance for the original company that I left. And I was just kind of a jack of all trades. I was doing a lot of different things, but really focusing on the movement and body work. I was really getting to understand what kind of work I was doing and what I wanted to do. And it was a pivotal time for me. And I eventually transitioned into, I believe that year, I really can't tell you. It's all getting fuzzy, but I got into wellness coaching and I became a certified health and nutrition coach. That's where I learned about the psychology of nutrition coaching. So it's not just about telling people what to eat, but getting to the underneath of what's causing them to eat a certain way, because I've always been passionate about food. So I transitioned from my deep focus that year of body work, I transitioned into more food and nutrition. And what's so fascinating to me is it was a time that was so pivotal. And 2023, the end of 2023, completed that 7-year cycle from 2015 to 2023. So what's happening, sorry, my words are my mind is kind of ahead and my words are trying to catch up. But what's happening is that I've been feeling the prickling the last few months of getting back. Like, yes, part of my work has always been bringing the emotions through the body, but there is this awareness of I want to take it further. I want to take it deeper. I want to bring people more and more and more present and into their body and to process through their body and to use this physical form in this really powerful way. And 2023 completed a 7-year cycle. February of 2024 is starting a new cycle. And in that cycle, I'm going back to my roots, to physical form, to Bowspring. And it's presented this really amazing idea. Again, it's been prickling. It's been prickling in my system. And it crystallized this weekend on Monday specifically of a new way that I want to share this work of emotions, inner voice, and body. That's always what we've been about. Body, emotions, inner voice. Like that's consistent. It's just where are we focusing the attention? Last year was super focused on emotions. The year before was super focused on inner voice. This year, we're focusing on body and bringing the trifecta together through the body. It's like the beginning and the close of the cycle all in one. And it brought me to this idea of not a mastermind, but a master body called Body Wisdom. Understand, learn, and embody the language of your body. Connecting to your body, through your body, with your body. And from that depth of connection and presence and awareness, attunement, you process your emotions and you access your inner voice. And I see it. And if you're interested in this or learning more, let me know at Dana_Evans on Instagram or shoot me an email to dana@alignful.com. I'll be sending an email about this on the Vitamin D newsletter, and I will post it out on social media because I'm genuinely curious if this is something that my people are interested in, right? Like we've gone on so many journeys together. Like you hear me talk about this over and over, but it's like, let's live it. Let's embody it. Let's be it. And we do that not through thought, not even through meditation, not through spiritual, energetic operating. We actually do it by coming back to earth, by landing in this form. A lot of last year was spent out of my body. It was in thought. It was in awareness. It was in deep emotional processing, which does happen through the body. But I really needed to ground myself back into the body. which has already started to happen at the end of last year into this year. It's like, let's come back to our roots. And our roots are our physical form. So much of the world that we live in, especially the coaching world, it's like it's mind and spirit. And I love all of those things. Like, I've gone through my journeys with it, but it's like, where does the body come into play? And more importantly, how does the body tie it all together? Because we are humans, we are living in a 3D world. So how can we use the body to ground and anchor the mind, the emotions, spirit? And through all of that is, of course, where your inner voice blooms and emerges. So that is the vision. I want to do this for 4 months. And here's what's so crazy, y'all. If you've been wanting to work with me on a deeper level, or you're like, what's Deanna up to? I know I don't share too much about it, but my vision for this is to make it super accessible and super deep. And for the first group of people, I'm looking for like 4 to 6 people. And each month, I want 4 months. 4 months is what my inner voice gave me. It's like, it's not 3 months, it's not 6 months, it's 4 months, this beautiful round number of 4. Each month, we're going to go into a different realm of the body, and they're going to build on each other. And it's physical practices. Oh my gosh, like, you're going to get to do physical practices with me on our sessions. And also you'll have embodiment practices to do in between, which again, minimum effort, maximum result. I'm not going to have you do like 45-minute body flows every day, but little things that are building the connection to your body, reconnecting, integrating, embodiment. Embodiment is living what you know. Knowing, I say this all the time, lowercase knowing, you know from your mind, you read it, you heard it, you know about it, is not the same as knowing, capital K, from your heart, from your body, from your inner voice. Knowing is truth speaking through you. So for 4 months, we're going to use the body as our vessel. We're going to tend to the body as a sacred space that we have on all the time, that we're living within all the time. And we're going to emerge and expand and push the realms of that body so that we're heightened in our intuition, we're heightened in our connection to our inner voice, we're heightened in our clarity of what we need in any given moment. Our voice is clear, we can speak, we can know, we can share. You don't have to set boundaries because you are a boundary. You don't have to ask your inner voice because it's always within you, guiding and speaking through you. Your emotions are coming through and alchemizing moment by moment by moment. You're breaking down and building up. You're planting seeds that you're allowing to sprout. Your self-concept, your self-worth, your self-esteem expands and blooms and evolves in a way that you didn't even know was within you, that you didn't even know was missing. Because by seeing yourself within your form, within your body, you see yourself through the eyes of your inner voice, through that joyful, expansive, peaceful, compassionate, loving space. And from there, you step out into the world. You hold your body differently. Your voice sounds different. Your eyes are clearer. Your face gets sculpted. I've seen it all. Because you're sculpting and forming from within the form. And from there you bloom. I have tears in my eyes. Every month for 4 months, we are going to have 2 group sessions, and you'll get 1 individual session with me. Then we'll have in between chat that we get to connect and talk, and then you'll get additional audio. You'll get an audio library of like on the go things that we get to use. You'll get videos from me of like actual physical practices, and then we'll get a journal where we get to really process. And of course, you'll get a physical package because everything I do has to have physical items because we're talking about physical body. You'll get a physical gift box from me, an embodiment box that gives you everything you need to succeed, right? To pull up the weeds so that you can be everything you are meant to be. And I am so excited for you to join me. So I don't have a sales page. I know what I'm charging for it. I know the general vision, as I just shared with you. I know how many people I want to be a part of this. The only question is, does this spark something within you? Does this give you a flutter in your belly, a flutter in your heart, a tingling in your fingertips? Does it make you warm? Right? Did you feel something in your body when I spoke this? A spark, a jolt, an ache, a yearning, a longing? And if so, join me. Let's fucking do this. I am so excited for what is going to unfold. I am so excited to create with you on this physical plane, to create spiritual experiences, right? We create from our form, from form to formless, from intuition to insight. It's an inner job, and it gets to be fun. It gets to be playful. It gets to be fluid. It gets to happen to and through your body. So if you've been feeling disconnected from your inner voice, if you've been feeling disconnected from your body, if you've been feeling numb in your life, if you've been feeling like the emotions are all over the frickin' place and you're tired and you're frustrated and you feel stagnant and you feel like, what's the point? I'm living Groundhog's Day. This is your invitation. This is your calling. This is your call out. Let's do something different. Let's light a frickin' fire on the coals and let's heat up. Let's move. Let's be fluid. Let's rise. Let's expand. Let's transmute. And let's reverberate all of that out into the world. So, my throat hurts now, y'all. Honestly, it's really sore. Because I didn't know I had all of that in me. Just so you know, I did not sit down to share that. I sat down to reflect on my workshop. I feel so emotional. I'm hot. I've got tears in my eyes. My throat is aching. I'm a little shaky. I'm grounding with breath, feet on the ground. Hands to my belly. This is how things work for me. This is how ideas are birthed. I like to share and process verbally. This is why I love my podcast more than anything else. And this is part of my work. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm going to have to go back and take the words I said and transcribe them, and maybe I'll make a sales page. But I really do want to start with a small group. I want to pilot this program. And if you're one of those people, let's fucking ride. Like, let's do it. I know you know, and your inner voice knows, and more importantly than anything, your body knows. So reach out to me on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or on my email, Dana, DANA at alignful.com, ALIGNFUL.com, and just put in the subject line body wisdom. I'll be sharing a lot more about this, apparently, because I got things to say. And let's rise together. So thank you, as always, for listening. I so appreciate you. I so appreciate this space that I get to share and process. And, it's a live journal for me. Rarely do I plan things. I just sit down and hit record and let what needs to come out. And sometimes it's like this, where apparently I've birthed a whole new, what are we calling it? Body wisdom, I think is what I'm calling it. It's like body mastery. It's mastery of the form. I don't know. I don't like mastery, but it is deep embodiment and deep access to the wisdom within. So with that, I'm so excited for you to join me. Can we start now? I want to start really soon. So we'll see what unfolds. I got to ride my wave to make sure I'm operating from a calm neutral when we move forward with this, but let's get to it. So until next week, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Tuning In podcast. If you loved this episode, please rate and review it or share it with a friend. If you want to go deeper into the realm of emotions and learn the language of your body, check out my audio course, Emotions Decoded, at alignful.com/audio. As always, you can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans. See you next week.